It's Rhythm and Soul Radio. I am Marco Nobles. We have our virtual studio open, and we are joined in the virtual studio this evening by a brother who he told me we got to put the extra oomph into it. Mac Royale, what's happening, brother? How you
What's going
feeling?
on, Mr. Mark, man? I'm good, man. Just chilling out. Just chilling
All
out,
right,
man.
all
Glad
right.
to be here. Glad to be
Yeah,
here.
glad to have you, man. We've been playing the single "Take Your Time," and so we're gonna take our time and talk about it. But
Okay.
first, let's talk about you. Talk about the journey for you. Like where are you from, first of all?
I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, man. I was
Okay,
raised here. Yeah.
okay. So that certainly explains, the feel of "Take Your Time" as it is deep into that Southern soul feel.
Yeah, man. That's the type of music that I love. If for loss of a better words, I'm a sucker for soul, good soul music, man. I love it, man. That good Southern soul. Yeah.
Right, right. So look, I have family that's in the South, and I talk to one of my cousins all the time about Southern soul music. He always wants me to have different artists and different folks that's doing big things in Southern soul that we don't hear about as much up here in the North. Talk about your perspective on Southern soul music, different than soul music. It's become its own like subgenre, of music, of soul
Definitely.
music, as it were. That you because you have a number of artists that are doing great things, but we don't hear about them nationally. But whether they're in Tennessee or North Carolina, South Carolina,
Definitely.
Georgia,
Yeah.
etc. They're killing it. So talk about the whole Southern soul movement as you see it.
Man, the Southern soul movement is pretty much taking on a life of its own. Just like you said, it's a subculture now that is really taken off here in the last what decade or so, maybe
Hmm.
15 years. Um, yeah, I mean the difference really that I see is the subject matter.
Mm.
The Southern Soul artists, their subject matter, it really gets in there. It's very detail driven. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And it can get it can get a little rowdy at times, but in a
Mm.
cool way. Uh, yeah, man, and I really dig it. I sit back and I listen to it all the time, man. So if it were to be a difference, I would say that would be the difference, the subject matter. Yeah, man.
Right, right. And it's interesting that you talk about the subject matter and getting rowdy. Like when I hear people talk about Southern soul, like I'm hesitant to kind of classify it separately because it really seems to harken back to me to you know blues music that like I grew up listening to because my parents listened to Bobby Blue Bland or BB
Oh yeah, that's
King
my guy
or
right there.
all those types of artists and the music that you'll hear in the juke joints, especially if you go out in the South and even parts north that have an influx of people who've moved there from the South. They create their own juke joints. You hear the upbeat blues music and the dancing and the two stepping and all that. So it's really kind of
Absolutely.
like an extension of
Yeah.
our blues experience.
Yeah, exactly. Those guys that you just named, like Blue Bland, BB King, man. Those guys, they set the precedence.
Mm,
Those guys they're like blues gods in my eyes. You know what I mean?
right, right.
And it's just like what we're doing now. It's just like you said, is an extension. You know, this is the next generation of it. And so, but yeah, we'll never forget those guys that paved the way, doing all those shows, man, and putting those wonderful songs together, man. Like Blue Bland, man. I listen to him daily.
Right.
Yeah, that's my guy right there. Yeah.
And I was going to lead into that and ask you, who are the folks that you listen to as you kind of started your journey and kind of molded your own sound?
Ooh, man. We don't even have the time, brother. I got so many artists. I mean, Ron Isley,
Mm,
Blue Bland, like we just said, Marvin Gaye,
okay,
Patty, Luther, Curtis Mayfield. He's like in my top two. Yeah, Curtis,
okay,
man, that guy, man.
okay.
Because the thing about Curtis is, not only would he hit you with that stanky soul, but he gonna teach you something along the way. You dig?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You gonna look. The old folks say, "Yeah, I'm gonna learn you something today."
Yes, 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 absolutely. It's Rhythm and Soul Radio. We're talking with Mac Royale. He has the single "Take Your Time." Let's talk a little bit about this single. Talk about so it is. Is it from a forthcoming project or a project that's already out?
No, this is off the first single off of my new album, Royal Soul, Volume
Okay,
Two.
okay.
Volume One, I did that like 2 years ago, so it was only right that I follow up with a Volume Two. And
Hmm.
so I've just been in the studio with my producer, 20 Music. We just been putting together, a plethora of songs, man. Just trying to, to really express how I feel on
Mm,
this second venture of an album. And Take My Time is the first single
right.
on this
Okay.
album, and it's just a song talking about intimacy, man. Taking your time with your lady friend.
Hmm.
I grew up in South Memphis, and one of my old head partners used to always tell me, Mac, if you're gonna uh, do it right the first time, then you won't have to worry about cleaning up what you done messed up coming up behind yourself. You know what I mean? And so
Mm,
I kind of took that to heart, and ever since then, I just been just trying to take my time with my lady friend, man. Because if you think
right.
about it, when we were younger, you know, I'm not too old though. I'm like, yeah, I'm not too old, but we were younger, man. We were all over the place, always talking about, I'm gonna go over here and do this, I'm gonna go over here and do that, but never cherishing the moment. So when you get older, you learn how to cherish the moment, and
Mm,
that's the goal right there. To take your time and do it right. So that's really what this song is about, man. Just taking your time,
right. Right.
no rushing.
Okay. Right. And you mentioned the first single off the album, and you said the album is Royal Soul Volume Two.
Royal Soul Volume Two. The album itself won't be out and won't be available till like sometime in 2023. So what I'm
Okay.
doing is I'm just dropping singles, leading up to the album release. Yeah.
Okay, all right, sounds good. And so now, as you're still, so now you still working on the album. Is the album done? You just now in the strategy part of building up to the album.
It's getting there. I got like 6 songs done on the
Okay,
album. Yeah, it's a process. I'm real picky, man, when it comes because I'll record a song and then I'll listen to it and I'll be like, okay, let me go to
right.
another song in the vault and see, because it's when you're
Hmm.
doing the album, it has to be theme driven, you know,
Okay,
and it's like I'll record like a bevy of songs and then I'll just go back and choose the songs that kind of fit that theme.
okay,
You know what I mean? So that's my process. So it's like
got you.
but we're like 6 songs deep, 20 and myself. We're
Okay,
like 6 songs deep, and it's gonna be like a 12 song album. So we're at the halfway point now.
right, right. So you mentioned you wanted to be theme driven. So what would be the difference? So it's not a continuation so much of Volume One, but because I'm guessing there was a particular theme you did for Volume One, and so now with Volume Two, you're looking at a different theme. So what's the difference in the themes between the two albums?
The first Royal Soul Volume One, I was really just getting my feet wet, Mark.
Hmm.
I was kind of a novice, if you will, to the game. That
Okay.
was me making my introduction to to everybody, letting everybody know, okay, I'm here. And this is what I can
Hmm.
do. This is what you can expect from Royale. Now on Volume Two, there's a little more growth. There's a
Mm.
little more maturity. Um, the subject matter goes a little bit deeper because I've had more experiences since the first project. So you
Okay.
can just expect a whole lot more soul, a whole lot more funk.
Mm.
Talking about relationships. Just a whole lot of soul going on, man.
Right, right. And that's what I was about to ask about too, in terms of when we talk about Royal Soul and Southern Soul music and all that. It's certainly a lot of relationships and love and lost love and you know uh,
Definitely.
love that you're not supposed to be having and all of that stuff. So how do you
Plenty of
how,
that. Plenty of that,
right.
brother.
So how do you work on keeping it fresh, especially like you said, you hear the Southern Soul music out here and you see the movement going on. How do you keep it fresh for yourself and for the listeners?
Um, like my process is just, I think every artist's process is different.
Hmm.
My process, how I keep it fresh is, I'm very open and honest, um, about the things that I go through. I believe an artist is supposed to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. A lot of us we talk about
Hmm.
the good. When it comes to the bad and the ugly, not so much. You know what I mean? So, but
Mm.
that's different with me. You know, because I'm a recent divorcee, you know,
Okay.
and as you grow with me, you're gonna be able to hear some of those songs, talking about that whole marital experience. It was some good and it was some bad. You know what I
Right.
mean? But yeah, just being vulnerable. I think that's what's a big part of soul music that's missing from the artists today. They're not vulnerable like the Temptations or David Ruffin. Those
Mm.
cats were not afraid to let the young lady know, look, I'm hurt. You hurt me,
Hmm.
baby.
Hmm.
But we can try to rectify this by doing XYZ. You did,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right.
And so yeah, that's what I'm trying to get back to, man. So yeah, that's one of the things about me. I try to stay vulnerable and try to stay honest with the people, because they can tell.
Hmm. It's Rhythm and Soul Radio. We're talking with Mac Royale. The single is "Take Your Time." The forthcoming album is Royal Soul Volume Two. How can people keep up with you, find out more about you, what you're doing, be aware when more singles are dropping, all the social media and all the
Oh yeah.
website stuff, all of that?
Well, you can go get Take My Time on all major platforms: Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, Deezer. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can contact me via Facebook /MacRoyale.com. You can also get in touch with me on Instagram /MacRoyale.com. Yeah, I would love to hear from you too, man.
All right, all right. So everybody, you can reach out directly, Facebook, Instagram, and then you can keep listening to Rhythm and Soul Radio as we continue to play the single "Take Your Time" from Mac Royale, which we're about to do right now. Sir, thanks for taking the time with us. And when the album
Thank
comes
you.
out and
Thank you
you're
for
ready to
having me,
drop the
man.
full album, we look forward to having you back and really talk through it and really experience everything with you.
Oh man, it's been a stone cold groove, man. Thank you for having me, Mr. Mark, and I would love to come on your show again.
Absolutely. It's Rhythm and Soul Radio. Mac Royale, take your time.